Hello. Hello.
There we go. Welcome, cadets and commanders, to the not Stabcast. I am Ryan. This is totally not a sex cult Slowoski, joined by Jay, exotic animal dealer Shalansky, and Evan, his exotic animal Burles. How we doing tonight, everybody?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is supposed to be Trooper King, but I blame Carol Baskins. She's a real bitch.
I don't have an allegory for who that would be in our Legion community, but I'm just going to go ahead with probably Tim. So,
yeah, I think it's Tim from Stabcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, hey, everybody. Ryan, thanks for doing that for us.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Marshall wants to get in. I guess we're going to connect him too.
Right.
Brendan's in now
Pick up
too.
your dang old phone now. Pick up your phone. I've been trying to call in for like 5 minutes, man. I've been trying to call in for like 5 minutes. You've been knocking me out. I was invited. I had an invite to this here show, and ain't nobody picking up the damn phone.
Nope.
Well, we just did, guy.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad to be here.
So this is a very special edition of Stabcast, right, Ryan?
Something like that. Yeah, absolutely. 2 in one day.
Yeah.
Who could be so unlucky?
I really wanted to put you guys on the map. And
yeah, well, I appreciate that.
Oh man,
we appreciate you exposing the little guys.
I drew the map, and then I gave it to Christopher Columbus, and he found America with it.
Damn straight right now.
Oh man, so this is exciting. What's today? April Fool's Day?
It is April Fool's Day. I'm excited. Although I've seen like a lack of internet April Fool's jokes, and I think it's people right now are just way too scared to go way too far. And it makes me sad because we need this. We need this.
You got to take that rock. And you got to just push it in the ocean.
Right.
You got to push it in the ocean and make a big old splash because everybody needs a splash right now.
I wonder why Critical X doesn't have a lot of listeners.
I don't wonder at all.
But yeah, so we thought it would be fun today, since it's April Fool's, to invite all the fools that we know onto the cast.
You want me to get Nathan on?
Yes, sure. You invite Nathan.
Nathan has been wanting to get on the show for a while.
This is the only one I'll ever let him on.
Probably so that's true.
Yeah. So a little funny story for all the listeners. Nathan from Critical X has been the only Critical X member who hasn't been on our podcast. And at this point, I just refuse to invite him.
Sure, no, that's fair. That's why you're having Brendon invite him.
Yeah,
that way you don't have to get your hands dirty.
That's right. So technically, even if he shows up today, I still haven't invited him.
Yeah,
it's one of those subcontracts. You subcontract that out, and then you get somebody else to do your dirty work for you.
Yeah, Brendan's just the shell company.
Like inviting Nathan.
That's right. So, Evan, you haven't said much. What's up, buddy?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
I can't tell. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I got a weird echo in my headset, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. I've been kind of talking a little bit, hoping people could hear me. So good. Been working from home for the past 2 weeks. Pants are a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm,
I don't know what that life is anymore.
All right.
Well, that went well. So let's. Evan, you trailed off at the end, so I'm not sure if you said anything else. But hey,
yeah, I'm not sure if my headset's coming through all the way. So just go without me.
Perfect.
Oh, man, you sound good on my end. You're real good.
Oh man. So all right, I guess let's you know what? Let's throw it to we
Sure.
got 4 people here. So
Okay.
let's for 5 minutes talk about Legion, but that's it. I won't I
That's
refuse
it.
to let it go. This whole
Just
cast.
5 minutes.
Yeah, so Ryan, you guys just celebrated 2 years, right?
Yeah. We just did our quasi 2-year anniversary show. Your episode number's a lot higher than ours, but we've been trucking along since our first show was right before the launch party at Adepticon. So Adepticon's kind of always our anniversary. So we did not think we would be doing this long. I know, it's adorable, right?
So what you said it was before the launch party. So what got you guys? So for anybody, I'm sorry, let me introduce you. Ryan is
Sure.
from Stabcast, another Legion podcast, probably one of the first Legion podcasts, I would think.
Only the Outriders have been going longer than us.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and then were we next after you guys? So I think it was Outriders, you guys, then us? Or was somebody in between?
I think there were a few others, but you're probably the only one still running.
Oh, okay. So then, we'll count me as next.
Yeah.
You might say the impact of the other ones fell off.
There you go. So walk us back 2 years ago. You said it was before the launch. So what really got you guys to get the podcast going about Legion?
Well, it actually goes back to the Adepticon even before that. I'm good buddies with Dion Morales from the Gold Squadron X-Wing podcast. When he was first getting up and running, we got to play each other at Gen Con, and the winner moved on, and we got to be friends there. Adepticon comes around, and he made the cut, and I didn't, and he's getting his stream set up, and he's like, hey, Ryan, can you and Ben run the stream for a couple rounds till I get eliminated? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Well, whatever. I'll make up and pretend to be smart about X-Wing. So we ran a couple matches of X-Wing, had a good time. And when we got done, like our whole car ride home from Chicago, we talked about how much fun that was and that we should do an X-Wing podcast because we loiter in the parking lots of game stores for like hours after our local play nights. And we like, what if we just did this on the internet? At that time, the X-Wing space was pretty well full. And the next Gen Con came around a couple months later, Legion was announced, and we just looked at each other and we're like, yep, we're doing that. And we kind of started pre-planning from Gen Con to do a show about Legion when it dropped. And we did, and we're still going somehow.
Yeah, so what would you say has kept you what has kept you guys in for the last 2 years? So, I mean, because I think a lot of us, I think we all ask ourselves that, especially in the dark timeline here when nothing's happening in Legion.
Right.
Why am I still doing this? What's keeping me, what's driving me to continue putting out podcasts?
So for me, I need something to be competitive at in my life. Otherwise, I just turn into an asshole, and my competitive nature comes out in other spaces and places. Mm-hmm. And for me, past couple of years, when I got out of college, it became board gaming. And X-Wing got to a place at the end of first edition where I wasn't particularly happy with the game. And Legion came out, and Legion is so vastly different in the fact that it's not so procedural. You don't do the same thing in the same order over and over and over again. And it's less about list building, and it's more about tactics on the table, and it's a longer form game where one or two bad dice aren't gonna sink or save you. And the speed at which the metagame shifts in Legion has always kept it interesting and always kept it fascinating. The fact that every set of battle cards is different, every table is different. It's not just the same repetition over and over and over again keeps me interested. And then obviously I'll talk to anybody about Star Wars stuff. And so you give me a fake radio show and I'll keep talking as long as people keep listening.
Yeah. Now, Evan, that sounds a little similar to your story too, right? Because at the end of X-Wing 1.0, you were kind of getting a little tired too and decided to hop into Legion, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had done we've traveled around for it a lot. X-Wing 1.0 at the end really needed the change. And I was always going to, even if it didn't change, I was still always going to play it because I just love Star Wars and I love that game. But then Legion came along and I'm like, wow, this is different and cool. I'm in. so I started playing that more, and I've always wanted to get into a Warhammer scale game where you've got a ton of miniatures, you paint them, and you bring them to army and terrain and everything. And that just happened to be A, Star Wars, and B, a lot cheaper, right? Like I think my whole droid army is like maybe $200, and I do the side podcast with my buddy for $40K, and I've spent I think $150, and I don't have anything for Tyranids. Like I barely have anything. So already the price, like my commitment to Legion's kind of paid off for me in that. But no, yeah, I'm the same way. It's I want something to be competitive at, and Legion got there. Unfortunately, X-Wing got better again, so now my time gets split.
Sure.
But no, man, it's I still love it though. Like Legion's still a blast. I'm just excited to see what's going to come out soon here.
Yeah, so Brendon, give us I'm sure everybody knows Brendon's the High Marshal. He's the judge at every major Legion event here in the States and Canada anyways. What got you into it, and then what moved you into judging?
Well, man, I was at Gen Con when they announced it too, and I was doing their vampire thing and doing the RPG. So I've been running things for a long time now. I used to judge card games and all that too, and so
it makes so much sense.
Yeah,
it does.
So I was into all that stuff, man, and then I saw like I would have even gotten back. I played X-Wing back in the day when it first launched, and I was into that because I was kind of burning out on 40K too. And you got to play that kill team, by the way, Evan. That's the cheap way to play that 40K. Then you can play whatever you want.
I'd like to point out that
I got my Gene Stealers. I'm good.
Ryan, myself, Krapik, and Brendon all do an RPG.
We do
together, and Brendon is our GM, and this is the longest I've heard him carry an accent or do any voice.
Well, I'm just hearing I got to up my game, man.
Out of everything, like we play a role-playing game together, and he literally uses no voices or accents.
Hey, he had a pretty good accent, didn't he?
He just changes his tone, and now I can't get him to stop.
By the way, check out Recover the Supplies on Fridays on YouTube.
Check out Recover the Supplies. Them there guys, they do a good job.
Low key plug.
Low key plug.
Yeah, I was going to keep it low key, but everyone else decided to just.
I got your back.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you subcontracted that thing. See, we went back to it. But no, like I was playing that X-Wing when it first launched, and I was really into that. And then unfortunately, I moved to an area where there was nowhere to play and nobody to hang out with. So I kind of went back to my nature, just playing video games and not really going out much, which is pretty much all I've been doing lately.
We know, buddy. We know.
Yeah. So then Gen Con rolls around, and I'm like, man, I want to get involved with this game, and I want to check it out. And so I kind of started like poking around and talking to people, and I was amped. And so when Legion came out, I hit the ground running with it, and so I got involved with that, and then I was.
And then came the
seamless transition there.
Yeah, and then came the meth years, similar to Tiger King.
Yeah, and then the Tiger King stuff happened, and they just stole my whole gimmick, man. That was my gimmick first. I had it, and then they took it, and then they made it all popular. So, so then I'm at Gen Con when they have their first Gen Con, and I'm like, man, this terrain, this kind of, it's not as good. It's not as good as what I had.
It's kind of bad. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed. And
I played 4 days on it. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, and the bummer is, I came from 40K, which I got into, and I know what good terrain looks like, and I know what I'm the kind of guy that likes to build like 3-foot tower in the middle of the board, like a big old mountain, and let's battle over that mountain, And so I saw that, and I was like, man, this is an opportunity. And I'm like, all right, screw it. And then I see Nova, and I'm like, Nova's a big deal. Nova's a real, real big event. And, they kind of had the same terrain Gen Con did. I'm like, man, somebody's got to step up. And then I found out Las Vegas Open was happening. And I was like, man, I got to do this thing. And so I'm like reaching out, and I reached out to Nick Freeman, because Nick Freeman was about the only guy community wise, who was really loud, who I knew I could reach out to, that I had a little bit of a relationship with him at that time. And Nick put me in contact with that LJ feller.
The accent's waning.
It really is.
He got tired.
Too long.
I am
reaching critical mass.
tired. Well, I told you I was going to take a nap, and then you scheduled this thing, and here I am.
Can I say, Brendon? So Ryan can vouch for this. Brendon has zero concept of time. Like,
100%.
He's like, when's this thing starting? I'm like 6:30 Eastern, and he's like, when's that? And I'm like, in 2 hours.
Hey, I live in Arizona. We don't do that daylight savings time crap that the rest of you do, which means that half the year I know what time y'all are on, and half the year I don't.
Dude, you literally have you're at a computer 90% of your life. All you got to do is Google it. What time is it in New York?
Yeah, well, that would require me to tab out of Final Fantasy and tab out of YouTube, and then I would have to do something else.
It all makes so much sense now.
Oh God, it does. Yeah, Brendon is a Final Fantasy player. I get it.
So whereas everybody just feels like they can just ask me questions without looking up the rules, I feel like I can ask other people what time it is without looking it up myself.
all you have to think about it is each day is like a round in Legion. You just have to ask yourself, hey Judge, how much time is left in the round? That's what you gotta
do. Brendon.
Yep.
What has been? Let's stop the accent for 2 seconds because I got a serious question for you, and quite frankly, it's driving me insane. I know. I absolutely told you to go ahead earlier on, and I said, "Yeah, this is a silly show. Do it." But I'm losing my mind a little bit, so I need you to stop.
Regret it.
Consider it stopped.
Oh man, I've never felt so much regret in one of these podcasts before. So
that's what I'm here for, man.
What has been?
And Nathan isn't even here yet.
Yeah, Nathan's not even on yet. So Brendon, what's been like the highlight? Not of your judging career, but of like just being in the Legion community. What's been the highlight for you? And he's gone.
So there's been a couple things though. I think one of the biggest was just I think it was at Northeast Open last year, and somebody told me they used the words "guy who saved Adepticon." And that just kind of makes it all worth it.
You need the audience. You need the sympathetic
Oh, that's not it. I don't think I have that one.
right.
But no, that was really sweet. Like a lot of this, you get done with an event and you always second guess yourself. And Jay, I know you know that feeling. Like you get done and you're like, oh shit, these are the 12 things I could have done better.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's my whole life.
Yeah, and so and I know you and I are real similar in that regard. Like we'll get done with something, we'll spend all our time focusing on the things we could have done better, and not take a minute to just breathe and like be like, you know what, these are the things I did right. And so to get praise unsolicited like that, and just be like, yeah, okay, you did a good job. Like I'm not used to that, and so that's a real feels good.
Yeah, I know, because every time we talk, I'm like, dude, you got to do better. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're really phoning it in with this accent.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't usually do that. I'm just saying. So.
Okay, so Ryan, so for the folks who listen to us who may not be able to catch you guys, I think I've seen you at most of the major Legion events. What's been your favorite list to play?
Oh gosh, I like to pride myself on like almost always bringing Rebel Jank, and I was bringing something pretty conservative to Worlds, and so I kind of feel like I'm the one who doomed it to failure since I was playing normal stuff.
I blame you.
That's fine. I'll take it. It's either Gen Con where I ran Han Chewie Landspeeder, or Warfare Weekend where it was everyone was doubting, and it was Jin, Sabine, Han, and I had an absolute blast playing a list that no one had really seen at a big event.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, especially in the casual community, love Jin. And I wrote an article about her and how I think she should be played. And, I know a lot of people really love her, and I don't feel like she gets enough love. I don't think she's as garbage as everyone seems to think she is. So what was your kind of takeaway with her and like play style?
So you look at half of her keywords and they're all very misleading. They're all traps onto how you actually need to play Jin. Jin is she needed the points reduction that we got last year. That was huge. But she's a cheap access to a Bravery 3 command bubble. And she's a command bubble that can start towards the middle of the table. When you infiltrate, I typically don't infiltrate her very far. It's going to be just maybe a speed 2, maybe a speed 3 move outside of my deployment zone, so she just doesn't get hung out to dry by herself. And you just use her cards almost all as support cards because she's not that big damage sink that we want a lot of our big rebel heroes to be. She just sits there, plays a little support role, has a little bit of inspire, a little bit of survivability. And the thing for me that really makes her sing is a card that's kind of gone away lately, and that's been Esteemed Leader. Esteemed Leader pairs really, really well with Danger Sense because instead of getting to roll 3 extra dice on those 5 hits that went through her cover and her dodge token, she can now parcel those out, and I'm getting to roll 5 dice against 1 or 2 hits, and it really makes Danger Sense a lot better. So she needs a Steam Leader and she needs friends nearby.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. And I think, one of the things I've always said about Jin is just kind of backing up what you said, is that, I think with that, and I think Iden's going to have the same problem with that infiltrate and I know, and Vader, Operative Vader, same thing, right?
Yep.
People think, oh, infiltrate, I'm just going to take this side of the board, or I'm going to cover this supply, or, I'm going to do this. And it's like, no, like the rules and how dice roll don't change just because you have infiltrate.
Now, and I also will say her 3-pip card, in my opinion, Complete the Mission, is the most bonkers card in the game. And if you play smart to engineer game-winning situations around that card, it's really easy to engineer those situations where you can just say, well, suppression doesn't matter. Because the greatest feeling in the world is your opponent flips over Annihilation Looms and you flip over Complete the Mission and you just grin like an idiot. It's the best.
I like Jin. I think she's great. I want to see her more, and I think with the with Cassian coming out, that we're going to see a lot more Jin. I think there's a lot of good combos there, and just being able to field a Rogue One table is awesome.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to.
It's super cool.
Yeah. Go ahead,
I would add in there though that the new objectives are going to play a part in that too. And
huge.
How people can use Jin's a scalpel tool, and how you use her in relation to those new objectives is gonna be a make or break. And it doesn't mean that the old faithful brute force lists aren't going to do well either. But I always appreciate seeing people use things in a way that wasn't anticipated. And I don't think gotcha is the right way, but to phrase it. But like, using something that hasn't been seen and outplaying your opponent is so important, and that's always the type of thing I like to see.
Sure.
So, Evan, why don't you tell the folks at home what you've been playing recently? What's got you all hot and bothered under the collar?
Oh, fair. So I had been playing a lot of CIS pretty much exclusively for the past 4 or 5 months at this point. But when the tank got delayed, and then the stops look cool, and then Cad Bane's coming out whenever, I thought, well, what can I play that I actually can get my hands on? So I've been playing Super T21 lists. It's more or less a generic officer, Boba Fett, and then 3 sets of stormtrooper units with T21, Captain, targeting scopes, and offensive push. So you get 8 dice rerolls. Well, it's two sets of rerolls, but 4 each. So
I hate you. I just want you to know.
Dude, it's so good. Like, and with the captain being able to, like you said, when suppression doesn't matter. Like, I won a game last night. I was playing against Bushfax, and he had 1 suppression, and I just said, "Captain, like, nah, I don't care about that." So I moved up, grabbed a box, and like got my 2 actions for that turn. And then with offensive push, when you recover, you get both back. It's super good. But so I'm thinking, well, I'll just go on the old Amazon and buy a couple of those Imperial Stormtrooper upgrade packs. $50 a piece. Okay, I'll just proxy for now. So apparently that stuff got real expensive. So I'm thinking, well, maybe that'll just be my TTS list, and I'll figure something else out when I play in real life. But I'm mostly waiting for just Cad Bane at this point, so I can start doing some fun stuff with him. I haven't wanted to proxy him because there's only 1 card that's like we know exactly what it does. There's the 3rd card that's like translated from French, kind of, and I don't feel comfortable using it. So I'm just kind of waiting at this point.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about this a lot, but this is, and I don't know how you guys feel, and maybe I'm being a little too overzealous when I say this, but I feel like right now, not the delays aside, but when the stuff that's been announced so far reaches us, that I don't know that there's going to be bad lists anymore, especially with vital assets, everything that's coming out. I think everything is viable, including the T-47, maybe now more than ever. when vital assets hits, with a bombing run or something, or dude, I think that it's going to open this game way up. The meta is going to be insane. Like, I don't even know that there will necessarily be a meta. I know that's a weird thing to say.
I think the meta will definitely open up. I think the thing I'm holding my breath for is if we look over what's going on, what we're getting, and how long this delay is going to be. And I think we were all also expecting a post-Worlds, 1 or 2 months after point change.
Yeah.
And for me, as a Rebel player especially, there's 3 to 4 big Rebel units that just aren't like meta viable. And it's just a points cost reason. Nobody's really doing anything with Wookiees.
Yeah.
If someone can please explain to me why Pathfinders are 1 point cheaper per model than Phase 2 clones, I'm listening.
They can infiltrate though.
And just so they can die faster, and you have to reach further across the table to pick them up to put them back in their bag.
Hey, you got your gun for free, all right? Let's just relax, okay?
And then I think the T-47 and the X-34 just hasn't. I don't know that it's a cost issue with the X-34, but for all the Rebel armor, I think the rise of critical has been kind of bad, very bad for them, because they're kind of niche to get around damage is mostly gone away. And so I'm holding my breath to see what's going to happen with vital assets, these new releases. And I don't really want to start list building until we get some point changes, because as a selfish Rebel player, I know there's going to be probably some large changes there. At least I would
hope.
Your
cover keyword didn't matter. With everything got critical, what if your cover didn't matter?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Armor doesn't matter. Like, I was really excited when the DLT started going away, so you could maybe start to play ATRTs again, and there weren't 6 DLTs across the table every time. And nope, we're just going to give T21s instead, which are just better DLTs. Neat. But
well, mostly shorts, right? Like, I think a range 3 T21 is probably fine. It's at range 4 that feels bad.
It's the range 4, and then the critical. Like, it's just all Rebels shtick is positional play, and that's everything that they've got going on revolves around suppression control with lots of inspire and positional play and clever use of dodge tokens, which are all things critical doesn't care about. So it's since it's the big thing that FFG is really pushing right now, it's a little frustrating, and it's hard to find a plan around other than Cannonball Luke Skywalker into the middle of it. And I can only play that for so long.
So, Brendon, because most of us, I know maybe some of the Arizona boys have seen you play, but most of us haven't. What any lists right now that are striking your fancy, or any units?
Yeah, so I'm all about the poison droids. I love the poison droids so much. I'm all about them. It's mean, it's nasty, it's fun. At least from my perspective.
Sure.
The funny thing is though is like you mentioned, not seeing me play. I bought all my poison droids and I haven't even pulled them out of the box yet. I'm in such a freeze, hobbying wise and stuff like that I haven't even pulled them out. And truthfully, I couldn't tell you the last time I played a game. It's kind of sad.
All right, so now something controversial and fun for me.
Sure.
Yes.
Ryan and Brendon, you both have 2 other co-hosts on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
I have 3, but yes.
You have 3. Okay, that's even better. I'm going to start with Brendon. Brendon, who's the worst co-host on your podcast?
In what quality?
I don't know. Just give me a name. Who's the worst co-host?
So for gives the least fucks, it's me. Sorry, that might if that is that the free one.
That's the free one.
I would say for most controversial, it's Nathan. I think.
Nope. I said who's the worst.
Controversy.
Just who's the worst, Brendon? Tell me your worst co-host. Is it John or Nathan?
That dude.
Name
I don't
names.
Know.
You got to name a name. Don't think about it. Just first name that comes to your mind. Who is it?
I have to say Nathan because John's the producer. John's the producer.
Oh no!
I can't throw the producer under the bus.
Sure you can.
All right, Ryan, you're up. Who's your worst co-host?
Oh, 100% Tim. 100% Tim. No hesitation.
Oh, wow.
Pick a category. It's Tim.
Jesus.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
100%. I think the statement was made on our episode that came today is, I don't understand bids, so they should just cap at 10 points. And I'm like, what planet are you living on that's a thing?
What?
Yeah, that's what our response was.
What?
So speaking of that, Ryan, on your podcast today, you guys talked about bids and the potential of them growing in the future, right? So why don't you want to give us a little primer on that, and don't give away the whole farm, because people can go listen to your podcast to get the rest of it, but just give us a little insight on that.
So I think it comes down a lot to the players, who you are, how you like to play, and I also think your faction's going to play a really strong leaning towards it. I looked at my win-loss from last year, and when I'm red player, I just lose a lot more. So blue player is incredibly important to me. And if you just lay out the battle cards that we have now, if me and Jay play completely opposite styles, at most our battle deck is going to be 3 cards different. At most. Once Vital Asset hits, our battle deck can share none of the same cards. And if you get to use your battle deck and pick your table edge with the knowledge of what 4 deployments may pop up, that's absolutely huge. Now, the other side of the coin is you can, instead of taking a 10, 12, 15 point bid, you can take Enviro Gear, grappling hooks, recon intel, or whatever you need to be ready for any type of situation. You can do that, and it just depends on how you want to approach the problem. But and I was really objective focused. I need my battle deck.
Yeah, and I would say, so this was something that from the LVO stream that we talked with Alex Davey, was that with I was playing a double heavy list at LVO, and he bombing run. He did bombing run in the deployment. I forgot the name of it, but the deployment for the
vehicle ones, rollout.
Vehicle deployment, rollout, and you could have a viable double heavy list that with all the cards that go with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm really anxious to see what happens. One of the cool things, and even with bombing run in there, even with rollout being in there, which Rebel vehicles at least right now aren't the bee's knees. They might be in the future, and I need to play some games with them with these new cards. I look at all of the new cards, all of the new objectives, and I actually think they're all really good for Rebels.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
they're,
they all
you get into the fight faster, right? Yeah.
You can get into the fight faster, and all of the objectives require you to get on the map and do things, and it's less aim, shoot, aim, shoot, aim, shoot, and then I'll actually play the objective the last 2 turns of the game. They require you to get out. They require you to get out early and disrupt your opponent and go do stuff. And I think that's great for Rebels.
Yeah. Is somebody putting on their shoes? What was that?
Oh, sorry. I plugged in so my phone didn't die.
What was that noise? Somebody's like, feet don't fail me now. I got to get out of here. Yeah, I it's crazy. Okay. So another controversial, this will be pertaining to Legion, not your podcast, but I am almost grateful that Worlds didn't happen. And here's why.
Qualify that for me.
That's a hot
Okay.
you got a lot of people upset right now.
Because I'm just so tired, guys. No, because
this quarantine really took it out of you.
Yeah. So here's why I was almost happy. We didn't know who was going to win. Okay. We could kind of guess what they were going to win with, right? Like, I don't think we would have seen anything insanely shocking. And so for me, it's more of, hey, this gives us all an opportunity if they do postpone Worlds via, versus canceling it and just going next year. But if they postpone Worlds to, let's say, August or September, hopefully, we're on the good end of this, that it's a whole different world. And none of us could guess right now what we're going to see at Worlds.
Exactly.
And I almost wonder, does that change the competitive landscape and make it even more competitive than, because I felt like, and I've said this, and this is going to get me probably some, whatever, I don't care. You play Shores or Tauntauns, and you can be a bad player, and those units can make you look good to great. Okay?
Yeah, they don't let you make mistakes, yeah.
Right. Like you get away with a lot of slack with Shores and Tauntauns that you don't with the rest of the units in this game. And so I think that was a crutch for a lot of players, myself included, and that we could go to Worlds running some of those units and put up a really good showing. And that doesn't necessarily dictate how good we are at the game. It's the units that are dictating the game. So by not having Worlds, and I doubt that they would go back and be like, hey, whatever was legal in March, that's what we're playing with.
Sure.
But I think that's going to shift this completely, and then you'll see top level players who are really, really good at the game are going to start to, will be the ones who are in the top. That's just my...
Yeah. I'm kind of on Team Chaos, which is parallel to that. I really wanted them to put vital assets out at the very last day that they could have to make it legal for Worlds and make these really good players just play with all this stuff that they have no idea how it works. And that would have been absolutely amazing. I 100% understand why they wouldn't do that. But that's why I'm not in charge of running a game company.
Other than dealing with all the judge calls that would have created, I totally support it. Like that would have been honestly a really ideal situation.
So yeah, I mean, my biggest fear would be like Gen Con's red player key positions, where just like, well, if you're a red player and you had to play KP before it got errated, you're just kind of SOL.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. And I think where, at LVO, Ryan, you were there and Brendon, you were there marshaling. I don't know how much you paid attention to lists and stuff, but we started to see kind of a spread out. Like there was a lot of heavies at LVO. There was a lot of kind of different lists that I don't think anyone was expecting. Like there's a number of double the fall lists.
Yep.
That was really interesting. DePinto from Legion Academy, he was running double the fall, and so I think like it was a real interesting mix and match at LVO. But the top 8 were all lists where Palpatine was a little surprising, but it's Luke Cook, so it's not that surprising, and but everything was like, oh yeah, of course, that's what's in the top 8.
Jay, I think that's where I disagree with you. I would have loved to have seen just how many tanks we would have seen from Separatists and from Republic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's the most interesting thing I was looking forward to for Worlds at Adepticon that now we'll never know.
Sure.
Well, I mean, even if Worlds had happened, I doubt we were going to see that other tank.
I mean,
we would have seen a lot of cardboard on bases that is exactly 150 millimeters high.
Evan was going to do his with a shoe.
Shooting a frisbee, baby.
I think their fallback plan was that they were going to bring tanks for players to borrow. And so, I mean, I think there was still a plan to make that happen. And so what interests me is how many people would have adopted that, and then out of that, how many of them would have succeeded? That's where my interest was.
Well, I knew I was planning, and I was planning to take Op Luke with no Tawns because I was afraid of those tanks, and Rebels don't have access to a whole ton of impact. I needed something to either be able to deal with your big scary lightsaber man or the giant tank, and I was pretty much felt like I was in a corner with Op Luke with that, which was a cool metagame shift from the way I've been playing Rebels the year before, running B team heroes.
Yeah, I was. So we did a stream, the Vital Assets stream. The list I was playing on there is the list I was planning on bringing to Worlds, and it was a Commander Vader list, and I was really excited to bring that to Worlds. I really wanted to see where Vader was and what what that list could handle with everything that was out there. And that was my only, that and not being able to do the stream was kind of my two.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. But, those streams are a lot of work too, so I was kind of relieved as well. But
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Evan, what else have you been doing with Legion? Any thoughts on Legion, Evan, since last we talked?
Since last week? Not a whole yeah, I really wish I had this like amazing answer for you, right? Like it's just like, well, I watched the stream and that was cool. Then I saw the stuff I won't be able to get for another like 9 months because of the Peroni pandemic, right? Like it's it's
I blame Carol Baskin.
More stuff I see. I mean, it's all chill, right? Like I've been just playing weird stuff. Like when I go into TTS now, I almost wish there's a randomize button. Just like give me random whatever, I'll play it. I don't care. Because I'm so sick of like the same stuff I've been putting all these. Like I put in a ton of reps Worlds, man. I was ready with Dooku Tank. I thought that was going to be the dark horse. And then when it got canceled, like I stayed up late trying to do like late night reps with my buddies. Like I put so much effort in. And when it all kind of got thrown out, I was pretty crestfallen. So I now at this point, I just wish I could go in and just give me random everything. I don't care. We'll see how this goes. Like I played like double dewbacks last night. Like whatever. It's like double dewbacks, flamethrower, sure. But then again, that's actually kind of fun because it's like you were right, Ryan. It's like the way things are right now, you can kind of play like whatever as long as you don't make like you almost have to go out of your way to make something bad. Like I'm taking this because it doesn't work and everybody gets stims, right? Like something really goofy and probably have a good shot.
Yeah, I think the trick is when it comes to that, and I see a lot of new players kind of ask like, what's a good list right now? And I don't know that there is. It's you have to know what your list is, and you have to know how to play it. If you want to play double do-back, which I actually think double, like no, just melee do-back is awesome because people don't know how to deal with it. But as long as you know what you're doing and you're making your opponent play your game, you'll do just fine.
Ryan, I love what you said there, because honestly, like I prefer seeing it where people build a good list and then they do well because they built that list, not because they copied and pasted it off a guide or an article they read.
Right. Yeah.
Well, isn't that something we all dream of? Like that's, ever since I've played Warhammer Fantasy back in the day, and like I always wanted to be the guy that found a list that spoke to me and then did well with it. And that's kind of what I was shooting for at LVO with the double heavy list. Like it was just speaking to me, and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to play this to the best of my ability, and it makes sense. And I think we all have that in us. I think if you're a good player, that there aren't too many lists that you wouldn't be able to make work as long as you're a good player and you're prepared for everything that's going to be thrown at you.
Yeah, and I think the structure that Legion has is super good for that, because things don't activate in initiative order. We have this micro back and forth. Everything is constantly shifting, and you can make these micro adjustments. As long as you know what you're doing and how your pieces move, you can bring 6 knights and no bishops if you want to. You just have to be prepared to play that game and know how to play that game better than your opponent does.
Well, and I think, the one thing I walked into too a little bit, and then Evan, we'll get to you, but like the one thing I walked in with the double heavy was people hadn't seen heavies in a while. And so there was the surprise element. And then, when like the ATST's throwing 9 dice at you and they're like, and you got the surge pilot, and it's like, oh crap. Like
Guess
that's
I'll die.
lot. Yeah. So what were you going to say, Evan?
Oh, nothing. I was just agreeing with him.
How dare you? You don't agree with him. You agree with me.
Oh, never.
Just real quick, we're going to keep talking, but for those of you who are listening with us live here, if you want to toss some questions in the chat, one of the guys here, I'll have one of the guys answer them for you. So if you guys have any questions, actually, I have a question for Ryan. Ryan, can you tell us, how do you get those luscious locks in that beard? How do you make that happen? Tell us your secrets.
Be Polish. That's all I got.
Oh, I got that. Nailed it. Shalansky. Done.
Yeah. Just be Polish, don't shave, and see what happens. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. See, I always get to a point where I'm like, oh God, I gotta shave now. This is getting ridiculous.
Once you get it past 2 inches, man, like nothing else, it stops scratching. It's fine. You just got to push through that weird, awkward phase. It's just like those teenage years, man. You just got to push through, and eventually you'll make it and be slightly less awkward and still talk about board games.
Yeah, my hormones haven't decided to get past that, and they're about 2 decades behind. So I'm just screwed.
So, Brendon, you guys put out a podcast today too. You want to give us a little primer on what you guys talked about on your podcast and tell us the name? Critical what is it? What is that podcast called?
So our podcast is Critical X, and I posted a link to our episode in community there. And the joke is that it's April 1st and there isn't an episode.
I don't know why you did
really
that.
Joke,
I wanted people to go click that. I was setting you up, man. All right.
Oh, all right. Well,
never mind. I knew exactly. All right, man.
I appreciate you talking about football there, and I just watched it go by. So, Jay, you know how you go out to the field with your dog, and you're like, "Hey, dog, I brought a ball for you."
No, I don't, Brendon. My dog's dead.
You throw the ball, and then the dog just looks at you like,
"Yeah, thanks for bringing that up." Yeah, great. Yeah. I'm gonna go cry now for a while.
I think the real joke is I don't have a Critical X shirt yet.
It's true.
I keep asking, still haven't got one.
Yeah,
I'm about to make our own here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'll sell you a nice shirt.
We got a question from the chat. Jin Cassian Sabine K2 or Luke Cassian K2 R2?
So I've put together a list that I really can't wait to try with Jin, Cassian, K2, and R2. So on the turn you play Jin's 2-pip, you can spend 3 actions with quick thinking and 2 calculate the odds and generate 18 tokens.
Holy cow!
Oh my god!
It's going to be amazing.
Oh, all the token generation that these lists are going to be having is just wild anymore.
And then you've got R2 to repair K2 after he drops Sacrifice. It's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be great.
Oh my god. Yeah, so from the chat, he or she says they've been rocking Jin with Cassian and K2 and they really like it. It's lovely.
I can't wait to try it. I cannot wait to try it.
Yeah. So what he's asking, what 3-pip would you drop?
I'm dropping Cassian's 3-pip. I think Jin's is way too good, and Sacrifice in that list is going to keep your heroes alive that one turn longer than your enemy wants you to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Cassian's card is good, but in that situation, the way I approach the game, it doesn't make the cut.
Yeah. I honestly, I played... So I think that with all this new stuff coming out, that this may be the time for superhero lists. And so, like, for instance, I was playing a Leia Han, Operative Luke, R2, and C-3PO list that I was just in love with. And I put the DLT on the troopers, and oh man, so good.
That's awesome. Yeah. I haven't quite run that. I did run Escape from the Death Star when Op Luke first came out. One of my buddies wanted to see it, where it's Leia, Luke, Chewie, and Han. And it's like 7 activations, and it's hilarious. But
yeah, I think mine was 8. But it's a good 8 though. Like you throw Han and Luke like just running. Obviously you can't just run directly, but like you throw them running at the enemy. There's not a lot that can slow those two down.
Yeah, you're going to have a bad first 2 turns, but once if you can make it through turn 3, they're going to have 6 guys left. So you'll be all right.
So what about you, Evan? Any like hero lists that you're thinking about or want to try or play?
I mean, from the shown stuff, it's I was looking at some Rebel stuff, but actually I think Imperials are going to be fun with really more or less just doing like generic commander, like Iden and Inferno Squadron. I really just want to do like that the opening scene from Battlefront 2, right, where they're down on the ground. So you just do like that in Storms and just kind of make a cool theme list that's like probably okay. Looking at how good the Inferno Squadron will be with like Death Troopers, giving them like a tactical 1 then steady, so they can like move fire with 2 aims seems pretty okay. Or my more 9 white dice with the T-21B. It's going to be interesting. I mean, hero stuff. I played an ace. We called it the A team a while ago when I went to Canadian Nationals. That was fine. Yeah. It was fun. But I'm kind of I just want more heroes for CIS or the Republic. Just so you can do some cool, redo some cool, Clone Wars scenes with them.
Yeah, when they, whenever they drop a generic commander for CI, like I'm full on to droids. Like I can't wait. Like with the Stab Riders, the tank. Like I just want that episode 1 army like just laying out on the field. And so like once they put out a generic commander. Oh my God, I'm just going to be running droids for days. Like, I can't wait to have that on the table. Like, I don't even care if it's good. I'm just excited to have like 2 units of Stab Riders, a tank, just a bunch of droids, and then like just some dumb idiot commander, like, oh, it's going to be amazing.
Oh, it's going to be a tech droid with his beer belly of computing power.
His beer belly of knowledge.
I'm all with you, Jay. But I do have one counter list for you.
Okay.
And that is Iden and 3 squads of scout troopers. And you throw that in with a tank and some snow troopers and some flame troopers. And let me tell you, you got 2.5 hours for a round. you're going to be done in about half of that, win or lose.
Win or lose, yeah.
And it doesn't matter because either way, you can go get a beer.
Oh my God. Yeah. So let's see. We're coming up on an hour here. So okay.
Yeah, I thought we were only going to do 5 minutes of Legion. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What the
I
hell
know.
is this?
Well, it's a Legion podcast, unfortunately. So, Brendon, let's start with you. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. We're kind of wrapping up here. Number 1, I want you to tell us something that nobody knows about you, and then number 2, where can we find anything you're doing, whether it be Critical X or whatever.
I've watched every episode and movie of My Little Pony.
Ooh.
You're a brony.
What?
I knew it. I knew it. Ah.
Pardon?
All right, so I'm going to have you. I don't want people to find you, so we're skipping question number 2. No, but where can people find you? What do you want to plug, my friend?
So obviously I do Critical X whenever we release a new episode. Probably do one next month, I think. We're expecting Bushman back from the desert sooner rather than later due to all that's going on. That may or may not be in hiatus or not. So that's kind of affecting whether we're dealing with that. So short of that, Critical X, I also do Recover the Supplies every 2 weeks with most of you guys here.
Let's recover the supplies, Brendon. Tell us everything.
That is a Edge of the Empire Star Wars role-playing game hosted by myself, produced by your Jay Shalansky feller. I've got Ryan on there, and then also Krabik is one of our other guests. And Jay, are you dropping that one on Friday?
No, so we're gonna do every other week. So we just did one this last Friday, right? So it'll be
No, it was actually 2 Fridays ago.
No.
Yeah.
No, I just dropped it. Dude, listen,
Brendon,
I'm not
you don't know how time works.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you about time. We put that out on the 27th, man. So,
yeah. All right, I guess we got another week to go, don't we?
Yeah, April 10th will be the next. You know, how many? Can we have a drinking game for all of you listening back? Go back and listen to this episode. Every time I set Brendon up and he just fumbles it, drink.
Every time. Every time. Put that in the
it's
opener.
not just
like,
me.
When you
I
go
love
back
it.
and edit this in post.
No, I'm not going to edit this in post.
Okay.
No.
Well,
defeats the purpose of a live show.
Add an opening crawl to the beginning of the first episode.
I was too busy making you look cool in your animation there.
Hey, you did a good job with that. So I'm actually totally stoked. So yeah, obviously I'm really amped about Recover the Supplies. And then short of that, kind of have my own brand, Owl Events and Media, which is basically me just going to all these events and running them. And so
but you do a fantastic job.
I appreciate that. So I haven't signed anything. I'm obviously, I believe we're still looking at doing Northeast Open.
Yeah, I mean, I want to. Coronavirus may have other plans, though, so we'll see.
That's the closest maybe. The next maybe is I am planning on going to Gen Con and doing that.
Cool.
Haven't heard any details on if I'm running that specifically or what the update there is. Usually Gen Con events are announced next month, but who knows at this point because everything's up in the air. And then we'll just kind of see what the season looks like beyond that because man, it's just like everything's kind of on hiatus. But yeah, those are my big ones.
Yeah, and I think, luckily as content creators, right, we have this great opportunity to create content for everybody and do stuff like Recover the Supplies and all the great podcasts that you guys do. And, and I noticed that everyone's kind of trying to step it up a little bit too and put out even more content. So that's good.
All my favorite bands and stuff are doing like, hey, watch me play with like how I recorded this music. I mean, like everybody's just trying to do stuff right now. Yeah. So, I've actually kind of been debating maybe just doing like a live AMA or something about how to run events and how to get involved with judging and stuff like that. So it's been kicking around in my head. And just I don't know. At this point, people need need something. So if I can provide anything, I'm looking to do that.
Well, thanks, Brendan. All right, Ryan, tell us something that nobody knows about yourself, number one, and tell us where we can find you.
Oh gosh, the fact that nobody knows.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Your deepest,
Nobody
darkest
knows.
secret.
Oh gosh, my deepest, darkest secret. That's terrifying.
I once open mouth kissed a horse.
We told you we would never talk about that again. You said you would delete the photos. Deepest, darkest secret. I don't know. I wasn't
This
ready
is a
for
hard on the
this.
spot question.
This is a hard on the spot question.
Jay, thanks.
Yeah, just something we don't know about you. It doesn't have to be your deepest, darkest secret. That may get weird.
I was hoping so.
Since I'm involved.
I guess the thing that people wouldn't know about me is that before I got into all this nonsense, I went to a almost not quite fundamentalist Christian school, and then I said, "Screw this! I'm going to go play board games."
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
not know that
right.
you.
Yeah. See, nobody sees that. And then, you can find me at the Stabcast. We're on SW Stabcast at all the social medias. You can find me on Recover Supplies. That's about all the places you find me.
Yeah, totally. If you guys haven't yet, I think probably I would guess some of our audience is probably the same audience, but
Yeah,
if not,
definitely have some overlap.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to Stabcast, I highly recommend it. That's the nice thing about all the different casts. I think we're all different enough that we all cover different ground. So you could literally listen to all of us and get completely different information and entertainment,
Yeah. I hope so.
Just when you do listen to Stabcast, don't listen when Tim's talking because he's the worst. If I had to pick your worst co-host, it would be Tim. So I don't like him.
I love
it. All right. So Evan, tell us something that nobody knows about you, and then why don't you tell the folks what we're doing after this?
Okay, cool. Well, I guess something nobody knows is all right, sure. Okay, Jay. Whatever you say, Mr. J. I used to go to punk rock shows in a church basement. It was when I was
Excellent.
younger. I'd have where the spikes had the suspenders. Would go down to local hardcore shows, just getting fights and mosh pits. That was a long time ago. But yeah, so that's something I used to do. And after this, we're going to be streaming Sea of Thieves. There should be at least most of the 5th Trooper squad in there.
Some of them,
even if they're not playing. Even if they're not playing, I'm sure there'll be drunken heckling from at least our boy Mike.
What platform are you guys playing on?
So Sea of Thieves is available on Xbox One and Windows 10. So
do they play together?
Yep.
Yep. It's crossplay.
Oh, that's cool.
So we'll be doing some pirate shenanigans. I found my hat and my pirate bird, so I'm going to be dressing up too. I'm pretty excited about this.
You can find that'll be on our YouTube channel. So for those of you, if you're listening to this not live, we'll have that up on the YouTube channel. That our stream of Sea of Thieves. We will be doing it live, but you can come watch it later, recorded. Now I'm going to give you guys something no one knows about me.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready? I
Ready.
Was in an Eagles tribute band for several years.
It makes so much sense.
So
okay.
It was one of those. I had a friend. He's like, "Hey, we need a guitarist for this band. Do you want to come play?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, sounds good." I had no idea what it was. I show up and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're an Eagles tribute band," and I was like, "All right, yeah, that's fine."
And look at you now. Look how far you've come.
Yeah, and I also one time I punched a hole in a cow to see what was coming down the road. So
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. Jay, I have a question for you before we sign this off.
Okay, go.
So obviously, I was talking with you about some of the assets used for Recover the Supplies. So am I correct in that you drew all those caricatures of all our characters, and how much of the art do you do for all the stuff that you do?
Yeah, so so it's a mix, right? So what I'll do is, for instance, with Recover the Supplies or like the Fifth Trooper logo or all the raccoon graphics for Fifth Trooper, like I'll do all the cartoon characters myself. And like so our animation for Recover the Supplies, not the Game Boy bit, but the rest of it was all stuff that I did. And then the Game Boy intro was actually this, like I found this years ago. Like there was some website that had like, hey, here's a bundle of a bunch of like templates and video stuff that you can have. And
There's
that Game Boy
on sale right now, by the way.
Yeah, and that Game Boy template was in there. And I was like, yo, I don't know when I'll ever use this, but I'm going to keep it. And then, we did this Recover the Supply. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll put that in right here. But yeah, so all the animation and character stuff I did. And actually, in the upcoming Recover the Supplies, there's going to be, here's a little preview. So if you watched our first episode, Recover the Supplies, we're on roll 20 and we just kind of go through. Well, I'm actually going to do some animation cuts when we're talking about what our characters are doing during the RPG.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
That's
going to be awesome.
So that's going to be starting next week. And I promise, Brendon, I promise that I will have an opening crawl this time. So.
We have a record of it. We have a record.
So for everybody at home,
get me those crawls, get those written up for me or whatever. And I hopped on it immediately, had them on his desk within 5 minutes. I sat and I wrote them both back to back, got them all ready. Hey, we're gonna have that opening crawl, and I'm watching the video back and I'm like, there's no opening crawl.
And then he writes me, he goes, I mentioned an opening crawl, but there is not one in the beginning. And I said, yeah, man, sorry, I forgot.
You know what? There's also not a whole lot of Bothans.
There's not a whole lot of Bothans.
Oh my God, Kravik was the best. Spoiler alert for the next episode. The Bothan joke gets explained, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I mean, if you guys, I'm glad you two got to join us because we have another little content that's a ton of fun. And so if anybody is listening that's also watching Recover the Supplies, like send us notes, like let us know what you think, if there's something you want to see or you want whatever. Just give us your feedback. Yeah.
Yep,
and eventually, the plan is like Evan, for instance, we'll have him on a guest. Like we're definitely going to have rotating guests in that fourth player slot. We just wanted to kind of get our feet underneath us before we did that.
Just like Mandalorian, right? There's characters that kind of come in for a mission. They've got maybe a need that the party is involved with, and then they disappear. I think that's kind of the theme we're going with. So
yeah, for sure.
Definitely looking to get some opportunity in there, and that lets us tie to other people in the community. So I like it a lot.
Right, and maybe that's another suggestion. If there's somebody out in the community that you guys want to see on Recover the Supplies, let us know. We'll reach out and see if they want to do it. So, we're all about, as you could tell, all four of us that are on it now are all from different content platforms. So, whoever you want to see on there, we'll reach out and see if they'll do it for sure. Including Evan.
Yay! Even me?
Yeah,
but not
buddy.
Tim.
But no, not Tim.
Yeah.
But not Tim.
Tim is my Carol Baskin. So
he's mine too. Look at that. Who would have thought?
Ryan, we had Tim in that Twilight Imperium game, right?
Yeah, we did.
Who was he playing?
He was the Turtles. He was Turtles next to you.
Okay. Well, I got along with him great because I just fed him the whole game. So that was
Tim.
By the way,
Tim Hannon
Brendon
is a real bitch. Go ahead.
Yeah, he is. Who won that Twilight Imperium game, by the way, Brendon? Just so the internet can know.
Yeah, Ryan Solowski won that game because he's a
damn straight
treacherous trade cat.
Oh my god! Oh, can I say something really funny?
It's your
I'm
show.
not
You can
saying
say
it.
what you
Yeah.
want.
So I posted that stream that we did last week. Go check it out with the extra cards from Clan Ren and Inferno Squad. And I put it up on one of the Facebook pages, and Tim wrote under it, "How can I report this for spam?" And, and like all these people thought he was for real. And we're like, just report it, man. Like, why are you being such a Karen? Like, it was so good. I laughed for a solid 5 minutes. I thought it was perfect. So yeah. So the hate for Tim is real.
Yep, it is.
But all right, everybody. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up. Like Evan said, Evan and I are gonna keep this party going over on our YouTube page. We're gonna do a live stream of Sea of Thieves. So if you guys want to pop in and say hi over there, please do. We'll call you out.
Awesome.
All
Thanks
right,
for having me on, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.
Everyone, stay rad.